we will be first electing the chair for KY Foundation. And here is our candidate, Antti Perttula. Antti should also be here. And at this point, I also want to point out that if there's someone present who still wants to run, it's possible, but I wish you to inform me ASAP if that's the case. I assume not because I haven't heard anything. But yeah, since we only have one applicant, we will have a pretty light panel tonight. We will have a short introduction from Antti, and then our panel leader will ask a few questions, and then you'll also have the chance to ask questions if you want to. And then we can vote by only raising our hands, so that's fun. But yeah, I think I'm going to give the stage to Akseli, who can lead us through this item.
Thanks, Halsu. And yeah, you started also to recording. Nice.
Yes.
So yeah, last elections, and now I'd like to introduce to you Iiro Heinonen, who will be interviewing the candidates tonight. Iiro has been a member of the KY board and the chair of the KY Foundation, and he has been also a great mentor for me this year. So Iiro, go ahead and you can start.
Thanks for the introduction. The last one is definitely the greatest of the achievements mentioned there. Okay, Antti is on the line and you can hear me, I assume.
Yeah. Hello, Iiro.
Great. Well, first you have, as mentioned, 3 minutes to introduce yourself and say any other things or how you want to use your 3 minutes is up to you. But please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Iiro. Dear Representative Council, dear KY, I'm Antti Perttula, a fourth-year finance student, and I'm originally from a relatively small countryside town of Punkalaidun, and I have been a competitive athlete for my whole life before the studies in Aalto, and this background of mine makes me what I am today. I am a generous, honest, and helpful person, and I believe that these characteristics of mine help me to succeed as the chairperson of the KY Foundation. My KY journey started in 2018, when I was a Nesu KY board member. Then I continued to the KY Association board, where I was one of the new premises responsible. And this year I have been a member of the KY Foundation board and a member of the Real Estate Committee and Subsidies Committee. I applied to be the chairperson of the KY Foundation because I have genuine will to help the KY community and a long-term desire to develop KY and ensure a rich student life and wealthy opportunities for future KY generations. Thanks to my versatile and long background from our community, I believe that I am the best person to lead and motivate the foundation board and also to work as a sparring partner for the managing director. Also, thanks to my studies and areas of interest, I have a real inner passion for the operations and projects of the foundation. Next year will offer big things and challenges for KY and KY Foundation, but I am more than ready to help our community. Next year is the year of change, and I want to offer my support for the KY Association when finalizing the move to Otaniemi, especially in the real estate side. During the next year, we also need to make a decision regarding the long-term premises, whether it is a student center or a so-called Plan B. Also, the KY building project needs to be finalized with honor. I hope that KY will have a strong presence in the future in Otaniemi, and future students will enjoy their student life to the fullest. Thanks to my background, personality, and motivation, I believe that I can offer help and insight for the development of our community as the next chairperson of the KY Foundation board. Thank you.
Thank you. And almost 3 minutes to the exact. Then to some questions. I encourage you to be relatively brief in your answers. I think that's a good way for you to demonstrate your vision and knowledge about these topics. But let's start with the one that's, what do you see as the key responsibilities of the chair for KY Foundation?
As I said, the chairperson of the KY Foundation leads and motivates the board. And as the KY Foundation board is quite heterogeneous, there are people from different backgrounds and students and experts. The chair needs to take these opinions together to make the best decisions possible.
Good point. You mentioned that the board is quite heterogeneous then, and how would you then motivate the advisory members? Say that they have busy professional life of their own. Then how would you motivate them?
I think it's all about the respect that, as you said, they have a busy life. So give them time, don't push them, and trust their job, and they will do it. I think it's not feasible to how would I say, push those advisory members. It's just respect their work and give them enough time to do their professions.
Okay. Then could you please mention one feature that you have that will make you a good chair, and then briefly describe a situation where you have showcased this feature?
I think it's my feature that I give. I trust people, give responsibility, and lead. How can you from bottom up? And this a concrete example is basically the elections project from my KY board year, when I just gave responsibilities and did the work that or made sure that the work is done, but I was not doing the whole operations, and it led to good results. I gave people trust and space.
Sounds good. Then you were part of the board this year.
Yeah.
And you've seen the current chair do his work.
Yeah.
What would you have done differently, and why?
That's always a tough question.
I know.
For the next year, I think I will done differently than that. I will gather the student members of the board more recently and do the decision making with students. This is mainly because that next year will include more decisions, but the decisions are smaller. There are no huge KY building projects again, but there are a lot of small things that needs to be decided and worked with the student members, because those things are much more minor and can be discussed with the students with their views on student life.
Okay, then how much time are you planning to allocate to KY foundation, or what do you think? How much time the role of the chair requires?
At this time, I think I have all the time because I finished my bachelor's thesis yesterday. But I
Congrats.
believe that this position will take a few working days per week. Depends on the season, and I am more than ready to give that.
That sounds reasonable. Then, would you very briefly summarize the role of KY Foundation in the whole of KY in maximum 2 sentences?
Yeah, KY Foundation supports the intellectual, social, and student life goals of the business students, and it is done by the financial support.
Then okay, maybe we can skip that one. More interesting questions. Who do you think is the most influential person at KY when it comes to large decisions? And not like you don't have to name any person by name, but by role, and why?
By role, this is a tough question. What can I say? As the whole KY, it is in some way that the foundation chair has the biggest influence because he gets the most knowledge for the big picture and for the very long future from the experts. So he has a safe and sustainable view on KY thanks to the professionals and the students in KY Foundation Board. And the chairperson needs to be the person who speaks with the voice of the KY Foundation Board.
Okay.
Maybe a little biased answer. But
Then what about if the sort of relating to that? What about if the board of the association makes a decision and then the foundation's board opposes? What would you do in that kind of situation as the most influential person?
I think in this question, it is good to remember that KY Foundation has the very long view and the financial decisions to be made, and KY board has the executive power. So I believe that our experts won't get mad if some decisions in KY board will be done in the frames of the budget that or not in the frames of the budget, but it doesn't lead to a bigger amount of subsidy asked next year for the KY association. So I think it is feasible to remember that these boards decide on different things.
Sounds good. How do you see the role of the supervisory council in the foundation?
Supervisory council gives the great aatteelliset lines to the decision making of the KY Foundation, and it actually helps quite a lot the work of the experts because then the experts know with what guidelines they work, and also the student members of the foundation board. It helps a lot.
Can you give an example or a concrete example of one thing that when the supervisory council has given its will that guides the foundation?
Yeah, for an example, the say KY building project, let's say like that, if this is very public meeting, it's a thing where the decisions after all are how would you say, decided on supervisory council, and supervisory council gives the lines how we do the project. Is it concretely, is it that you must do some student things, aatteelliset things, or is it that you just try to get maximum amount of money?
Good. Then as the chair, you would be working with the managing director, and managing director is the chair's closest co-worker, I would say. But at the same time, the chair represents the board, and the board as a whole is the managing director's supervisor.
Yep.
Then how would you take this double relationship into account in the work, or would you?
It is wise to remember that you need to be a sparring partner for the managing director, so the managing director can do his job in the most efficient and the best way, because he uses the most amount of hours to the work of KY Foundation. But how can you say, you need to remember that sometimes the managing director is wise and old, but sometimes he's only old. So you need to present the KY Foundation board's view on things.
Good. I hope you guys listening.
Me too.
Do you think the monetary grants are the primary channel of the foundation to support the KY community currently? And if not, then what is?
Well, also Espiland Saha is quite a huge way to support, because without those in Otaniemi, we would be left quite barehanded after the year, possibly.
Yes. And then before giving room for questions from the RepCo, could you please give a 30-second briefing about the status of the student center project and its potential future developments?
Yeah, I heard that school is wanting to pay for it and wants to build it for us. So I'm, as a project, I'm highly pro for the idea of the building. So I would turn that stone and check for this possibility, as the road has been quite rocky in the past.
Thank you. Now, questions from the RepCo. If you message
There are
to the
no
chat, then
in the chat. If anyone in the RepCo has anything to ask Antti, now is a good time. Even though I do believe that we got a pretty good picture already and are quite familiar with Antti also. Mikko recommends him, so
Thank you, Mikko. Thank you.
I think that's no questions for Antti at this point. So thank you, Iiro and Antti.
Thank you.
We can move on to deciding. So everyone in favor of electing Antti Pertola as the chair of KY Foundation, please raise your hand. Looks pretty unanimous.
Can I raise my hand?
Sadly, no. Only RepCo members. But yeah, looks like we have a new chair for KY Foundation. And that's that. Congratulations, Antti.
Ooh.
Thank you for your
Congratulations.
trust. Can I stay here?
Of course.
That's great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No problem. And then we can move on to item 10, electing new student members to the board of KY Foundation. And we have 4 candidates, Iiro Hallinen, Ronja Koivu, Rasmus Mäkinen, and Rasmus Ylinen. And we will be electing 3 members since we also need to fill in Antti's position. And if there are anyone who still wants to run at this point, please let me know now. I haven't heard anything, so I assume that no one wants to do so. Okay, now that we have a few more candidates than the last time, I'm going to go through the practicalities in more detail. So we will have a panel for this election as well, and it will consist of 2 parts, an individual part and then a panel for all the candidates. So the individual part will be about 7 minutes per candidate. They will also have a 3-minute slot to introduce themselves, and then will be asked questions by the panel leader, Iiro, for 4 minutes. And then we will have all of the applicants in the same panel after everyone has introduced themselves. And we will have approximately 15 minutes of questions from Iiro, and then we will also have a chance to ask questions. And Nina has a työjärjestys.
Yes, I don't know if the järjestys was the right one, but it was the first one that it came to my mind. And I'd like to note that Iiro Hallinen is probably recused from this issue. So just to kind of like put it on record that we are recusing him for this item, and then he can come back for the rest of the meeting, of course.
Yeah,
yes,
good
that
point.
was my comment exactly. So I recuse myself.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great.
And this is in good time because we haven't moved on with the voting or anything yet. But yeah, this is the structure of the panel. And then there's also some information about the voting. So the voting only concerns the voting members of RepCo. So not the board or Iiro in this case, for example. To ensure that only the relevant people are present in the voting, we decided to create a separate Zoom session for it. We also used this when we were electing the former of the board for KY Association. And we will go through the practicalities of voting in more detail in this session, but just a heads up that you will receive a link to the new session in your emails. And also, if you wish to make comments on the applicants, please save them to this separate session. And the people who will not be attending the voting can remain in this Zoom session, and we will also all return to this session to announce the result of the vote. Yeah. Does anyone have anything to ask about the practicalities? Is everything clear? I don't see any questions, so I think we can move on to the panel, and then Iiro, the stage is yours.
Yeah, but just before we start, maybe I can explain the clarification. So Akseli has informed the order, so that's going to be Rasmus Mäkinen, then Rasmus Ylinen, Iiro, and Ronja. So now I will remove the remaining 3, so that's Rasmus Ylinen, Iiro, and Ronja from the list. And then I will invite you back in once Rasmus Mäkinen is done. And if you drop out of the connection, please don't join back into the Zoom. Message us first, and then we can let you know when's your time to join in, because we don't want you accidentally joining and listening to the other person's answer.
Great, thank you, Apurva. And I think this is a good time to also check that we have all of our candidates present. Has anyone checked?
Yeah, I just did a quick check. They're all here.
Perfect.
So now I can move everyone except Rasmus Mäkinen
Yeah.
into the waiting room.
Thank you, Apurva.
And we're good to go. Iiro, you can start.
Thanks. And Rasmus, you can hear me.
Yes, can you hear me?
Great. Then you have 3 minutes to introduce yourself. Please
All right.
go ahead.
Thank you. Let's roll. Okay, so my name is Rasmus Mäkinen. I am a fourth-year student majoring in finance, and as a person, I'm an outgoing person and have been interested in taking responsibility in many different KY activities during my studies. I have had the honor to experience student life at KY through the boards of Nesu KY and KY Finance, the current Aalto Finance, as well as co-leading corporate relations committee and being part of KY office as the sales coordinator. And these subcommittee, subject club, committee and KY office experiences have shown and introduced KY from several viewpoints, but have also built a strong emotional bridge between KY and me. In addition to the love towards KY, I have a strong personal interest towards financial matters, and regardless that I have invested since I was 14 years old, I'm still more and more interested in financial world every day. Therefore, if uniting these two factors, the love and strong will to keep the financial opportunities for the future KY generations similar or even better, as well as the strong interest towards investing and personal capabilities to put time, give insights, and learn more about big scale, long-term investing, I see myself as a relevant applicant for the KY Foundation's board, and especially, well, I would like to see myself at Sira and or Kiva. And if there are 3 things that I would like you to remember from me, first thing, I have broad experience from KY, but also I have the will to listen new generations and give back to the community. Secondly, I have great interest in financial matters and some preliminary knowledge about investing and financial products. And third, I have strong will and ability to put time and effort and new insights to the board work. And I think that's my introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Then to some questions. First, a similar question to than was already asked. Could you mention one feature that you have that would make you a good student member, and then briefly describe a concrete situation where you have showcased this feature?
Yes. Okay. Well, that's a good question. Let me think. Some future. Well, besides the love towards KY, I would say a good future is the personal interest in investing. And a concrete example, well, this spring as the Corona hit our world, I put my money into the VIX stock, so I hedged against the Corona situation.
Okay. Then how do you think that this knowledge you have gained from investing, that how would that sort of translate to the benefit of KY Foundation, or how KY Foundation could experience or benefit from your investing experience?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think like the advisory members have like greater insights about the investing world, but I have like a lot of interest towards investing and learning more about the big scale and long-term investing, and therefore I am willing to put like a lot of time and effort for that kind of things.
Okay. Then could you please describe that? What activities do you think are included in the work of a student member? Basically that how do you spend your time when you are sort of working as a student member?
Yes, definitely. I actually asked some questions from former board members that they're included like some preliminary work before like the board meetings, and there is some matters that you have to think before going into the board meetings and then the actual board meetings. But as well, I see there is like the need of gaining the pulse from the student like community, like what is going on currently. So that kind of work would be included into the board action.
Yes.
Work.
And what do you think is? I think those are all good activities and good points. What do you think is the kind of most time-consuming part? How would you allocate the time between those activities?
Yeah, I see. Like the prepping would be the most time-consuming thing, and then going into the board meetings, then you kind of know what you are going to do in the meetings, and you have some insights to provide in the meetings. So prepping the stuff before meetings.
Sounds good. Do you have or what single thing? What if you have to name one concrete thing that you would want to achieve during your potential term? What would it be?
Well, a wish if KY building would be sold, I say there is like a one single really big thing, like to put time and search like where the money could be invested if KY building will be sold during my time in the board, as it seems currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all from my side at this point.
Yes, thanks.
Great. Thanks, Rasmus. I'll now move you to the waiting room and invite the other Rasmus. And we should have Rasmus Ylinen here now as well.
Okay, Rasmus, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Are you the better Rasmus or the second Rasmus? Or
it depends who you ask. Some people think I'm the second Rasmus, but well, who knows?
Okay. You have first 3 minutes to introduce yourself. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Rasmus Ylinen, and I'm currently working as the vice chair at the KY Association, as you probably already know. A bit of my background. I started my journey at KY back in 2017, and 2018 I was a part of KYSSI, so had some fun doing some club activities. After which I was a part of KOVA, got my fair share of academic affairs, and then I applied for the KY board and been working there for the past year. And especially with the new premises projects. So I've actually been working quite a bit with the KY Foundation as it is, especially with the managing director, as he's basically involved with the day-to-day stuff in the premises. My ambition is to continue to serve the KY community. And I believe that my experience, especially with the premises, is something that's of great value for the KY Foundation's board. And I'm also willing to put my work in supporting all our volunteers and the whole KY community, as that is a major function of the KY Foundation, supporting our clubs and other associations. So basically, yeah, that's me.
Thank you. You mentioned in your application that you're motivated in working towards solving the issue with the premises.
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah. So basically, what basically our year has left for the next year. I believe that the KY Foundation plays a big role in negotiating basically what we're going to do with the student center now that the school is proposing to take over the project. So I believe that the KY Foundation plays a big role in helping the association, especially with all the expert work and all the monetary things regarding the project. And I'd really like to see myself being a part of that.
Sounds good. Then could you please mention one feature that you have that will make you a good student member, and then briefly describe a situation where you have showcased this feature?
Yeah, so I think that I'm a quick learner, and I think that's really important when you're a student member in the KY Foundation's board, since none of us really are the experts that we already have in the board. Well, I think a place where I've showcased this is in my current year in the KY Association's board, especially with the new premises. I basically had zero knowledge of building or well, building in general, but throughout the year I've learned a tremendous lot, like regarding legal stuff, ownership structures, all sorts of things. I'm not saying that I'm an expert, but I'm saying that I can learn to understand stuff and work on that.
Okay, then if you need to name one single but concrete thing you would want to achieve during your term, what concrete thing do you want to achieve during the potential term?
Well, I think one concrete thing I'd like to see is the student center project, that we get it into a phase where it's going to be built no matter what, and being a part of that through the KY Foundation, I think that would be amazing.
I agree. Do you see that the student members of the foundation are sort of, what is their role in making the student center happen?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of like big financial decisions, and of course there's the real estate committee, which well, this year hasn't convened, but has given support. Before basically COVID-19 hit, we had one meeting at least. So I believe through that way, with together with the experts, we can help the association achieve our spatial goals.
Okay, then could you please describe what activities do you think are included in the work of a student member, and approximately how would you think the time is allocated between them?
Yeah, so there's a lot of meetings, and then a lot of there's a lot of meetings, especially depending on which committee you join. But for example, I'm interested in the grants subcommittee. So I think that takes up a lot of time, especially during the beginning of the year when there's a lot of of the applications for the yearly grants. But from what I've heard, it shouldn't take no more than maybe a maximum of like 10 to 20 hours a month. So.
Okay, then that's everything for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
Great. So now move Rasmus back to the waiting room and invite our third candidate, which is Iiro.
Okay, are you Iiro on the line?
Yes, good to be back.
Nice.
So I have my introduction first. I would like to share my screen if that's possible.
Yeah, sure. Can you also turn on your camera?
Yeah, sure. Just a minute. So you see me now,
Yeah.
and my screen.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
great.
so yeah, you have 3 minutes to introduce yourself and apparently present us with anything you want to present.
All right.
Please go
great.
ahead.
Yes. So hello everyone in the Repco and those in the stand. So my name is Iiro Hallinen. I'm a 5th year marketing student and most importantly an active member of KY community. I started my path in Kulttuuriasto, which led me to KY Spexi and KY board, where I was responsible for corporate relations and alumni affairs. After board work, for example, I have been to tutoring and KY alumni mentoring task force and representative council, of course. Apart from KY activities, I like to play basketball and golf and do some fishing from time to time. So why KY Foundation then? I have had the best time of my life at KY, and I want that future KY generations have the same opportunities to enjoy their student life and create great memories like I have done. The best way I can help to do this is through the KY Foundation board, I believe. Things to focus on for KY Foundation in the near future. The sale of KY building is the biggest fundamental change KY has faced during my time here. So firstly, the foundation has to take care of finishing off the deal and communicating the effects of the deal to the members and associations of our community. But after this, we have to focus on how to support the associations the best way possible during these rough times of change. As our premises will be limited after the sale of KY building, we must offer also financial support to our associations related to, for example, renting temporary premises, while actively also seeking for longer term solutions. Also, the COVID-19 situation scraps some profitable events from our associations, so that brings a need for extra support for them. Another thing to focus on is how to invest the liquid assets from the sale of KY building. So why me then? Why would I suit this position? Is that I have a lot of experience from different associations at KY. This not only gives me understanding towards our volunteers and associations, but also a huge respect towards their work. This is also why I would see myself fitting best for the subsidies committee. And all in all, I have a strong will to help this community to overcome these times of change and most importantly, represent the voice of students in the board of KY Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. Then to the questions. Could you first mention one feature you have that will make you a good student member, and then briefly describe a situation where you have showcased this feature?
Yes, well, definitely at KY, in regardless of the position I have been in, I'm a really hard worker, and I have made the most of every position. I have exceeded the goals in every position, and therefore, because I always work hard when I'm motivated and committed to the project, I would suit perfectly for the foundation board also.
Okay, then what concrete thing would you want to achieve during your potential term, if you have to name one?
As we are going through these times of change, I would love that our associations will get through these times, and the continuity of the culture and the associations will be ensured. So supporting our associations as in this process would be the number one for me.
Sounds good. Then can you briefly describe what activities do you think are included in the work of a student member, and approximately how do you think that your time would be allocated between them?
Well, of course, the meetings of the whole board, but a lot of the work is done in the committees. So the committee work will be for sure the number one, I believe, and especially the subsidies committee is I've heard that it's pretty demanding time-wise. So I believe that would take most of the time in the board.
Do you think there are some activities that would take your time outside the meetings?
Yeah, for sure. Going through, for example, the materials and that kind of stuff should be done outside of the meetings, of course.
Then you mentioned the voice of the students as one sort of role of the student members of the board. That's a sort of very used phrase. Could you give me one example situation where the kind of voice of the students would come to life through a student member of the KY Foundation's board?
Well, when it comes to some ideological questions, the experts might have different take on when it comes to the financial point of view, but also the student member, I believe, has to consider also the ideological point of view of things, and I believe these kind of situations, for example, related to the sale of KY building, have been discussed in the board this year, but we'll see what the next years will bring us.
How would you react if advisory member disagrees with you and kind of implies that they have the experience and they know best?
Well, I believe our vote weighs the same, but of course we have to discuss the things through, and the expert members should have somewhat different takes on some things, I believe, and it's good that it brings discussion, the ideological versus financial things.
Okay. Thank you. That's all for now, and we'll see each other soon.
Thank you.
Great. I'll now move Eero to the waiting room and take our last candidate, which is Ronja.
Okay. Ronja, you can hear me.
Yes. Can you hear me too?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So first you have 3 minutes to introduce yourself, and please go ahead.
Yes. Hello, dear Representative Council and other KI members. It's so happy to see you, even though it's via Zoom. So my name is Ronja Kouvo. I'm a fourth-year student, just finishing my bachelor's degree in management. I'm a very social and open person in a way that I always share my thoughts, but in a way that it also gives others a chance to speak. And I'm really easy person to come talk to. And I have always been a very hard worker, even if it meant a summer job in high school or volunteering in KI or even school jobs. And people have also said that I'm a very easy person to work with. For example, Antti Perttula gave me the recommendations to apply for this position. One reason why I'm applying to this position is that I'm always happy and eager to take on new responsibilities and challenges, and it really gives me great pleasure to succeed in something that seems hard at first. As my experiences at KI, in my first ever studies, I was the treasurer of a subcommittee in Nesu KI. After that, I was a member in Cultural Committee Kuva, and my main responsibility was Boston Night. And I was also the co-founder of Preky, and I was also the treasurer of Preky 2019. And besides of that, I have been a volunteer in Spexy. I have also been a financial assistant in a cleaning device wholesale company for 3 summers now during university. And because of these experiences, my focus for applying to the board is on the subsidies committee. And I want the future students of KI to be able to enjoy the experiences that I have had the luxury to experience it. And most of those would have not been possible without the financial support of KI Foundation. So the work that the foundation does is really important. And I would also like to enhance the work of KI Foundation to support students not in the student life and all the events, but in their studies also. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. You mentioned subsidies committee.
Yeah.
How would you feel if your responsibility would be some other committee?
I would be happy to take the challenge. Obviously, I am not that advised on those areas because I haven't been in the board, for example, or and as a KI employee. But I'm very eager to learn and very fast learner when it comes to those things.
Sounds good. Then could you mention one feature that you have that would make you a good student member, and then briefly describe a situation where you have showcased this feature?
Well, I think that one feature is that I have courage to challenge ideas that have been taken as a normal way of doing things. For example, as a treasurer of Nesu KI, we were in a situation where we didn't have the financial support of one volunteer event that was really big lose for us. And because of that, I had to come up with new ways of raising money for us.
Sounds good. Then what single concrete thing would you want to achieve during your potential term?
Well, since 2017, I read that the foundation has decided that the foundation would not give out grants for like good master's thesis degrees and that sort of things anymore. And last year was the final year to apply for student exchange grants also. So I would like to create some new way that, or new grant that the KI students would be able to apply for, like that would show their succession in studies.
Do you have an idea what that grant could be?
Unfortunately not. I would have to look up for like past given grants, like what have they been, how much have they been, and how have they worked.
Okay, then can you describe what activities do you think that are included in the work of a student member? And then approximately how do you think that your time would be allocated between them?
Well, obviously there is the board meetings and committee meetings that take up time. Like, I think that they will be about once a month. And besides of that, it would also obviously require the work that you do on your own time. I think that would be maybe like one working day per every 2 weeks or something like that.
Okay. I think that's all for now. Thank you.
Okay.
And we can move to the panel discussion.
Great. So I'll invite Rasmus, and Iiro back in. Yep, they should all be back now.
Okay, all the candidates are online.
Yes.
Yep.
Great. Then to the panel discussion, I'm going to ask you questions, and I'm going to name the candidates I'm hoping to answer. You're free to compliment or disagree with other candidates, but do not feel that you need to repeat what the other person just said. So only add something or disagree, and you can ask for turn in the chat, and if you think that I'm missing your message, then you can just shout. It's possible. Any questions? Good. So first to Rasmus M. Briefly, why does KY Foundation exist?
Oh yeah, KY Foundation is the financial organism that supports students with their goals during studies and gives the resources to be successful for the time after studies as well. Briefly.
Then Rasmus Y. What is the total value of the KY Foundation's assets currently, approximately?
Approximately 40 million euros now at the moment.
Okay. Then Iiro, what do you see as the one most important responsibility of the board of the foundation?
To support our community financially and also to be the backbone, or the KY Foundation has to be the backbone of the KY community. But yeah, to support our association financially.
Okay. Then Ronja, does the cooperation between the association and the foundation work in your opinion, and how would you develop it?
I think that it works. I haven't had much of the experience of that, but at least I haven't heard much of complaints. Yeah, just maybe more open communication, especially like during this move to Otaniemi. It requires the association and foundation to work together.
Okay. Then Rasmus M, how much time are you planning to allocate to the work at KY Foundation?
Yes, I'm planning to allocate approximately 1 day per week to KY Foundation during the whole year. But of course, I am capable of using more time if needed.
Okay, then Rasmus Y, how would you develop the role of the student member of the board?
That's a tough one. I'd say, It's really tough to say when you haven't been a student member yet, but probably easier with hindsight. Maybe get them more involved with the association to know how they're doing, since basically the work that we do at that they do at the foundation is what makes the association work as well.
So communication. Okay, then Iira, how would you develop the monetary grants of the foundation?
Well, at least right now, as we're going through these times of change, we probably should grant our or subsidize our associations more. But otherwise, I see that dropping the exchange grants was a good decision, and I wouldn't bring them back or do any major changes to them.
Would you bring back, or not bring back, but would you create any new monetary grants? Do you think we need a new monetary grant?
Well, not at the moment. I think that supporting our community and shifting towards that is the best way to go, and I think the foundation is on the right track right now with this.
Okay.
I would like to add, if possible. During this pandemic time, I would maybe consider some like real estate monetary grants for like associations and subcommittees or something like that. If there are like some participants who would need like tiloja to their associations when moving from KY building to other spaces. So some monetary grant for the spaces. Yeah,
so they can then rent themselves a place. Yeah. Okay. Sounds smart. Then Ronja, Do you think that currently subcommittees are supported too much in comparison to clubs?
Maybe a little bit, because at least I feel that clubs do have the potential to create more events and more valuable experiences for students, as well as like subcommittees do right now. Oh.
Okay. Then Rasmus M. Do you think that the foundation should better incorporate ESG or some other responsibility criteria in their investment strategy?
Yeah, that is a good question that should be, I think, considered more, like through the advisory members. I think KY Foundation's reason to exist is to provide like long-term financial stability, and if ESG instruments creates long-term, like the best long-term investment opportunities, then definitely. But allocating like too much just because of the ESG stamp, I wouldn't say that wouldn't be like the thing that KY Foundation should do, but that's a matter that should be considered like with more time than like this 2 minutes. And the signal effects, of course, they would create. Yeah.
Yes. Then Rasmus Y. What do you think is missing from the action plans for next year currently that you think should be there?
What's missing from the actions plans? I wouldn't say nothing is missing per se, but maybe there should be like even more support given towards our community in moving towards Otaniemi, since it is inevitable, and especially in a financial way, because once COVID is over, there's going to be a large need for spaces for everyone, and Otaniemi is already challenging in that there's a lot of other people who need spaces as well.
Do you think that the foundation should rather give out grants for the subcommittees and clubs and whatnot, so they can get their own premises, or should the foundation rent premises and sort of distribute them to different actors?
Well, preferably it would be that either the KY Foundation or association would rent out spaces and then distribute them to everybody, since if everybody gets their own spaces, that's maybe a bit tough, but mainly I'm thinking about events. So in that sense, getting one event space more for everybody to use would be good.
Okay, then Iira, do you think the foundation's role is clear, not to you, but to KY members in general?
Well, I think at least for the active members it is, but right now, as for example, the some not so active members of KY are not getting, for example, the exchange grant anymore. Maybe KY Foundation doesn't show them as much as before, but this kind of if it's not familiar for some, maybe foundation could communicate about itself a bit better and therefore enhance its position.
Is it important that student or KY members know what the foundation is and how it works and who's in the board and whatnot?
Well, at least those who are interested, they should have the information available, and yeah, for sure.
Is there a comments?
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I may speak, I think the foundation should be even more active in communicating what it can do to basically members who are not maybe so active, because I think there's a lot of ideas out there that could be fulfilled maybe if people were more knowledgeable about the project grants that the foundation gives out throughout the year. So yeah.
Okay, then Ronja, what do you think the foundation should do next year regarding the student center project?
I think that the current shift towards university buying the spaces and foundation only renting them is a good idea, and I would definitely go with it, because it releases the like, it doesn't stress our finances so much.
There was a comment from Rasmus.
Yeah, I think I'd have to disagree in the renting part. I think it's especially important that we own the actual spaces that we use, obviously within reason. I don't believe the university would be able to offer a rent that's good enough to dismiss buying the actual spaces, because once we own them, we have the long-term security and we can use them as we wish.
Interesting, getting a different opinion. Then the last question before giving the voice to the representative council. This is for everyone, and we can start with Rasmus. If you could not pick yourself to the board, who would you pick? You can name one.
Always a tough question. I think I must say Ronja, as I have worked with Ronja for a whole year during Nesu KY, and I have positive experiences with Ronja.
Okay, how about Rasmus Y?
I think I'd have to go with Rasmus M, not because of the namesake, but because I know that he's a great guy and he has a lot of knowledge and experience in KY. So I think he'd be a good fit.
Okay, then Iiro. You're on mute.
Yeah, I would go with Rasmus M also. I worked with Rasmus at KY office in 2018, and I know he's a hardworking guy and has a big KY heart.
And then Ronja.
Yeah, I would also say Rasmus M, basically because of what Iiro said. I was in the board of Nesu KI with him, and he's a really good guy and hard worker.
Okay, good. Thank you on my behalf to all of you. And now questions from the RepCo. Yes, Kansankari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, actually, I have two questions for all of the candidates. First of all, should the foundation take bigger role at KY at the operational level? So, for example, in decision making.
Yeah, and I can give the, or does anyone want to start?
I can start, for example.
Go, great.
Yeah, I think not. I think the operational level belongs to the KY executive board, and I believe it goes better without foundation taking bigger role.
Yeah, I can continue. I would also say that it is good the situation right now because there are plenty of wise board members in KI Association, and it might just bring a little too much hassle into decision making.
So I can continue here. A great question, and I can only approve what Ira and Ronne said, and maybe I could add, like, well, KY Foundation should consider the long-term decision making. So maybe not the operational level is not the thing, but always should be like considered.
Yeah, I have to agree with what's been said already, and separating these two is good in the decision making. But maybe there's some places, for example, well, the student center, where the foundation could maybe and should be more involved in the decision making.
Thank you. And the next one, one of the main reasons why the student grants were erased was to allocate the divisible money to the community and not directly to individual members. So do you think that the KY Foundation offers enough subsidies for the associations operating under KY, or should the amount be larger? For example, clubs or other associations.
May I pick this first?
Please go ahead.
Yes, I think the amount that should be given to students from KY Foundation should be like mitoitettu by the profits that KY Foundation makes yearly, and like KY Foundation should make long-term decisions, and if we make larger grants, then on the long term, KY Foundation would be like making negative profits, and thus would provide lower grants in the future. So I would say we shouldn't currently give bigger grants, but if we make a lot of money in the future, then we can, of course, on the yearly basis, improve the amount that will be given to students through the investment profits.
I can continue if
please go ahead.
Possible. Yeah, so I think I agree with Rasse. The subsidies or grants are on the right level right now, but if the if the sale of KY building is successful, then we might have some room for improvements to the grants, at least for some premises rents and so on. So there might be some improvements in the future if the sale is successful.
Yeah, if I can add to that, I agree with both Rasmus and Ira that the subsidies are at a good level at the moment, but maybe it's even important to remind that all the associations have to have some skin in the game. So it can't be everything can't be subsidized, but instead sort of there should also maybe be a push towards getting new new ideas flowing and granting subsidies for new ideas, something fresh.
Yeah, I would also say that the subsidies are like at the right level right now. I would push communication into more like for the associations that they have the opportunity to create those new great ideas and apply the project grants for those.
Then we had a question from Bührer.
Yeah, guys, if you could make one promise, if you happen to get elected into the board of KY Foundation, what would that promise be? This is for everyone.
Does someone want to start?
Well, I can start. Well, I do promise that I would bring the students' opinion to the KY Foundation's board.
If I can continue, I also promise that I bring the students' opinion to the KY board, and also that I give my 100% and give my greatest effort towards working for KY.
Yeah, well, of course, these are good promises, but I'd like to say that I promise that our associations will get through these difficult times of change with the help of KY Foundation.
And I promise that I would always think about the benefits of KI's students and communities in a way that we can supply them a stable future.
Good. Election promises. Any further questions from the RepCo? Okay, well, if not, then thank you to all the candidates on my behalf. I think you all did very well. And then I give the turn to Anna, I guess.
Yes, thanks a lot, Iira, for being with us today. And thanks to all the candidates as well. And we can move on to voting now. Oona, are you ready?
Yes, so I sent the voting Zoom link now for all the RepCo members who are able to vote for this part of the meeting, and then also for you, Hausu and Nina.
Thank you. Okay, so we will be leaving this meeting, so everyone else can take a break here. The voting will take a while since there has to be some manual voting done, but I don't think it should take too long. So you can hang out here and talk or take a break if you want, but it will take at least 10 minutes. So feel free to also leave your device if you want to. But yeah, I'm going to be muting myself now, so bye. Yeah, Pyry and Mikko, are you ready to announce the votes and the results?
Pyry, you can go ahead and tell the results of the first round.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So the first we voted for the. Oh no, Hausu already probably told you this. But we first voted for the people for the second term. So two people. The vote count was as follows: Iiro Hallinen got 3 votes. Rasmus Mäkinen got 11 votes. Rasmus Ylinen got 5 votes. And Ronja Kouvo got also 5 votes. So Rasmus Mäkinen was chosen, and then we had to use a raffle for the to choose either Rasmus or Ronja, and Rasmus Ylinen won the raffle. So for the 2-year terms, we chose Rasmus Mäkinen and Rasmus Ylinen.
Come on!
Congratulations on my behalf, and then
And on my behalf as well.
and then the second round of voting for the 1-year term, the person who takes Antti's position, and the votes were as follows: 10 votes for Halinen and 6 votes for Kouvo. So Halinen was chosen for the 1-year term position. Congratulations to Halinen as well.
Thank you.
Congratulations to everyone elected, and a huge thank you to our patient waiters here, our RepCo members who were voting, and especially our vote counters and Oona who managed the whole voting. And now we can move on to deciding to elect Rasmus Mäkinen and Rasmus Ylinen as new student members for 2 years to the board of KY Foundation, and then Iiro Halinen for 1 year.